Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Kule Agbayani, right next to Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and HawaiiSportsRadio.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10 and streaming live right now and every single Monday on our YouTube channel. So hello to everyone joining in now on YouTube. Of course, right on cue, Caesar in there and in the chat. He's always like the first one in here to join us on YouTube. But thank you guys you guys can chime in on the live chat or you can text us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481 if you want to get in on the conversation. And boy, do we have a lot to get into today. We hope you guys had a very fun and packed weekend like we did. I even feel like we're going to probably forget some things and along the way as we go through the next couple of hours. But oh man, we'll get into just about a little bit of everything, but maybe just a quick recap of kind of what is happened. Well, actually, no. Let's just start off with this morning, Paul. How we doing? How we feeling this morning? You were extremely late this morning. Way later than usual.
Yeah, I was going to say way later than usual, especially on YouTube. No, it was nice.
Paul was very early.
I don't understand why the roads were so open today. I'm glad that they were. I hope it's that way going forward. Hopefully that means everybody's driving safely and the road is just moving smoothly everywhere. No matter what. Excited to be in the studio today to chat about, like you mentioned, a lot of stuff, and hopefully we don't bring up the whole conversation about 100 humans versus or 100 guys versus.
No, you just brought it up, so just moving on.
Yeah.
I was like, as you were saying, let's not bring it up, and you just kind of brought it up. No, but there was a lot that happened over the weekend. Obviously, you guys know our team was just out and about the entire weekend. Well, the original plan was to bring 6 broadcasts in 3 days. We got through about 5. I mean, I guess you can say 5.5 because the other game went maybe 5.25 worth of broadcasts. But we had OIA baseball championships on Saturday, and then we had OIA softball championships back on Friday. So shout out to Mililani for taking the D1 championship for softball and Pearl City for taking the D2 championship for softball. Then Saturday, shout out again to Mililani for taking the D1 baseball championship. And Farrington, our neighbors down the street, we moved a little further away from them, but still nonetheless the closest high school in our vicinity. So shout out to Farrington baseball for taking the D2 championship. We'll get you caught up with everything that you may have missed in those games coming up in the show, but just want to make sure we get our shout outs out of the way. And of course, ultimate shout out to a couple of the UH squads in the men's volleyball team beating Long Beach State. Yeah, take that, to win the Big West Conference Tournament Championship. Adrien Roure was named MVP of the championship. It was a whole thing. I mean, obviously, Paul and myself missed it. Michael, missed it in person. I got a chance to watch the replay, but Michael Escarrow was in-house, so he'll have, he has photos and stuff for you guys to check out. I believe he's working on a video. There's some highlights and everything from the men's volleyball championship game, and we'll see what happens if these two teams could meet in the NCAA championship. Never know, but we'll talk to you guys about the matchup and the selection show that happened yesterday. Also, shout out to the women's water polo team who won the Big West Conference tournament as well. Woo!
Who'd they beat too? Because I'll tell you what, Long Beach State hates to see us coming, Koo. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I made that joke actually while I was at the watch party for men's volleyball, because the women's water polo team wrapped up their own championship victory over the beach right around that same time. So I made that joke. I don't remember which player, but I got a laugh out of it, so it wasn't just funny to me. So that made me feel good.
I know. Yeah, take that, Beach. The only one that would have been better than Irvine. I don't know, right? Between the Beach and Irvine, we love to beat them whenever we can. But that's true. Hey, women's water polo, yes, beating Long Beach State to go back back-to-back Big West Conference tournament champions, and technically first championship under new head coach James Robinson, as they'll get ready for their NCAA tournament. The selection show is later on this afternoon, though. So men's volleyball was yesterday, and then women's water polo will be today to see where they end up. And again, we'll talk a lot about more in detail about all of these topics, but I think we just needed to have almost word vomit and just start talking about everything that happened over the weekend, and then get back to everything in detail.
Did we hit everything?
No. There's kind of that one thing that almost feels like it got left behind because there was so much happening locally, but there was a little bit of something called the NFL draft that also wrapped up over the weekend.
That's right.
Yeah. So kind of there was that too that was going on up until Saturday. A bunch of different obviously Mililani again. Let's go. What is it? Dylan Gabriel.
All Koo does is win.
Dylan Gabriel being drafted in the third round by the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, there was a lot of shock. We posted the video clip of the draft selection on our social media, and of course, there was some gasp by the announcers that Dylan Gabriel went quote unquote early, or at least before Shedeur Sanders. And I was like, dang, that kind of hurt. Spoiled the moment. Obviously, Dylan didn't hear the announcers, but if you go back and watch it and listen, they were just like, oh my goodness, because they were just in pure shock that, again, he went before Shedeur Sanders. But honestly, that's the difference between, hey, maybe you should have a little bit more character and take your job interview seriously. But again, we'll get into that a little later.
I don't want to
There's
start
a lot.
this
We
now.
won't start it now.
Because once I start, I'm not going to be able to stop.
Yeah, so we won't start it now. But again, shout out to Dylan Gabriel for getting drafted. Also, a couple of shout outs to some former UH football players real quick. Quarterback Braden Shager got invited to Ravens minicamp. DB Cam Stone and offensive lineman Luke Felix Fualalo they were invited to Seahawks minicamp. So we wish them all the best, and hopefully they get their opportunities at the NFL level. So it was a lot to unpack. And again, when all of the different rounds were going on, or the second round and everything like that, the rest of it on Saturday 4 through 7, that's when the team we were out at either softball or baseball. So we're just kind of, luckily for technology, trying to track everything as it was happening. But there was just so much, and as you guys can see on this Monday morning, it's sensory overload for me. And I'm like, all right, we got this, we got this, we got this. We got a lot of stuff to get to on this show. But thank you guys for tuning in, and shout out again to our YouTube live chat. Again, Caesar talking about, he says he feels bad for Dylan. I wonder what the Browns are going to do with him now that they have Shedeur 2. Will they trade him? I don't think so. But again, we'll kind of talk about all of that as the show goes on. My mom saying good morning and a big smiley face. Good morning, mother. As I did get to see my parents, they kind of surprised me at Hans Laurent yesterday. So that was kind of fun too. At first, I was sitting on the bleachers, and then I see someone that at the time I thought looked like my dad, and he's walking. I was like, that guy looks like my dad. I'm like, oh, that is my dad.
Surprise.
Hey.
All of a sudden, right in front of your face.
Yeah. So as you guys know, that I grew up in Rapahu, and if you don't hit any traffic lights, I feel like it's less than a 5-minute drive from my house to Hans Laurent. So my parents were running errands, and then my mom told my dad, Kool-Aid's over here. So my dad's like, okay, let's go visit. And they just kind of moseyed on in. So they go on a cruise this weekend.
Hey, we're off to.
Yeah, Alaska.
Hey, I know someone who went out over that way. It was a pretty good time.
Someone who was just kind of there, right?
It was a pretty good time. I hope they have a wonderful, wonderful time. Definitely a little bit different weather from what we've got here in Hawaii, but I don't know, kind of a nice change of pace. So yeah, definitely go have a good time. Don't worry about Koo. She's working hard enough for all of us.
Yeah, can't wait till we're at our final last bit before summer push here, because we thought our last broadcast was going to be yesterday, and at this point it still might, depending on what Friday's schedule looks like. But yesterday's second game, and the ending of the 10th inning first game for HPU got rained out, and it will be postponed because the games really matter for HPU in terms of the final Pac-West Conference standings and all of that stuff, possible regional implications. So they need to do what they can to make sure the games are played. So from what we were told by Kevin Hashiro, they are leaning towards Friday being the makeup day for yesterday's games, but we'll see how it goes. So all that talk about yesterday potentially being was going to be our last local broadcast of the sports season. Well, we might have another, might be on Friday again.
Maybe
so a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, we know state flag football tournament going on this week as well. Softball, baseball for UH in full swing still, and a lot of stuff. Oh, also one more hi in the live chat. A shout out to Justin Baptiste saying conversations with Justin Shaka. So shout out to Justin. All right, we're going to take a break as we catch our breath, trying to like I said, word vomit everything out there for you guys.
I think we hit on everything that we needed to.
Just the quick hurrah so that everyone kind of knows what's coming up.
Beautiful thing. We have 2 hours to talk about all of the things that we just tried to fit all in 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Stretch everything
out.
We'll
be okay.
All right. But when we come back, we will get into now detail and recap that awesome win for the men's volleyball team over the number 1 ranked team in the country again in Long Beach State to win the 2025 Big West Conference Tournament Championship, and we'll actually let you hear a good portion of what head coach Charlie Wade had to say following that game in the post-game press conference, along with Louis Sakanoko and MVP Adrien Roure. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to talk men's volleyball on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and HawaiiSportsRadio.com. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, you can get in on the conversation and text us at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481, or chime in on the live chat as we are streaming on YouTube right now. All right, want to go straight into men's volleyball. Again, a huge championship win for this Rainbow Warrior volleyball team. And I think it kind of, it's, I don't know, I don't want to say it means more, but I think because this year has been so up and down, obviously Hawaii still without the services of Christian Tetrisky and just being a little inconsistent here and there, either from the service line or what have you, and Long Beach State being the number 1 team in the country for a reason. And for Hawaii to not only win this match, but in almost dominant fashion. I mean, we didn't even have to go to a fifth set, like winning in 4, again, 25-21, 25-22, 21-25, and then 25-22 once again. And then you got Finn Kearney leading Hawaii in kills, followed by Adrien Roure, Kearney having 14, Roure having 11. I mean, it just felt like a next level type of win. I know Ileu Choi and his dad Barney Choi were like sharing a moment. Everyone's crying after winning the championship match, and it just meant so much because it felt like it was maybe middle of the season. It felt like it just wasn't expected, right? Like, and then Hawaii having to get past Irvine on Friday, you're just like, oh man, it's hard to beat a team like 3 times, and Irvine is always going to be tough. They have like one of the top 3 best players in men's volleyball right now in Hilaire Heno. They get past them, and you're like, all right, is Hawaii going to be able to beat Long Beach State again? And then you're like, yeah, and they come out on top. I mean, even Charlie seemed like so ecstatic following this win, as if it was the first one that they won. And obviously for a lot of these players, it is their first Big West Conference tournament that they've won. But it just, oh my gosh, like there's just so many words to describe that moment and that win that there are almost no words to describe it on, to be honest, actually.
I like to think that they didn't go to a fifth because I asked so nicely as we were leaving from our broadcast site. Just joking around, obviously. No, an incredible performance by the Rainbow Warriors this past weekend. One that was very much so needed. They understood what the assignment was, and this was what the conversation was all year, right? Where you felt great about winning matches, but Charlie said it. All wins are good, all losses are bad, and that was just their mindset throughout the entire season. They get to this point, and this was what they fought for. And Tread Rosenthal, I thought, had a real nice tournament. I thought he also learned a lot from last year where, you know, you go through the trials and tribulations of a Big West season, and now helping with a really nice complement of weapons around him. They were outstanding, and they didn't even have someone who is, I mean, one of the best players in the country in Christian Tatrisky. You love the performance that they had. Very impressive, and like you said, very clearly very meaningful to not just the players but the coaching staff as well. And I mean, that's why they're successful, because everyone feels like it's their first, even when it's not their first.
Yeah, and this is why in the beginning of the season, right, Charlie almost despised when we would talk about how young this team are, because there are so many freshmen, because he knew maybe in age they're young and by grade they're young, but they are a group that are some of the best from multiple countries, right? And once they kind of gelled together, I mean, we have Adrien Roure that had those 11 kills but no errors. And as I mentioned, in the middle of the season, you could see Adrien kind of he needed to kind of balance, and Charlie brought this up mid-season too, that going into college, Adrien was trying to figure out, like, all right, this is a lot of volleyball being played. That's not what he's used to. Plus, you're balancing school. And now it seems like everything's kind of getting figured out by these young players. And that's what we see. We saw what happened on Saturday. All right. But before we chat more about it, I want to let you guys hear from what they had to say. So here is the Big West Conference, maybe about half of what was actually from that post-game press conference with head coach Charlie Wade, along with Adrien Roure and Louis Sakanoko. And then it just starts with Charlie's opening statement following that win.
Yeah, obviously, nice performance for us. We really made progress with serving. You know, something we pride ourselves on. I thought we probably had our best serving night of the year. Maybe not in terms of the number of aces, but the efficiency was impressive. For two sets, we played really kind of error-free offensively. I think we hit 500 in the first set and 600 in the second. Really efficient. Only one service error in the second set. And that kind of set us in. The third, they made a run early, and we did a nice job at the back half of the third set, getting back into a nice offensive rhythm and side out, and had some good service turns to make that at least somewhat interesting. And then the fourth set was, highly played by both sides and back and forth. And just proud of the guys and for showing up and putting a big time match together for us.
TJ Bashir's VB ELO report. Adrien, huge weekend for you. Do you feel like you can replicate this in the national tournament? And what what's kind of going through your head with all the accolades?
Sure, I'm pretty confident about my game, so I'm pretty sure I can be that good even during the tournament. And I don't know, I just love to play volleyball, especially here, and I just want to play more. And to play more games, we needed to go to Ohio, and for that we needed to win yesterday and today. So it's that simple. I just want to play more and make me play good.
Did you get a sense that at some point, maybe tonight, that Nikolov would have like one pretty momentum turning kind of service turn in him? And how did you feel like you guys responded?
Well, I was expecting it in each of the previous 8 sets that we played against him. He didn't get an ace until the 9th set, and the first one was a net cord that hit and fell, and that gave him the next turn, and then he absolutely detonated a couple. And look, I give Alan credit because, you know, he's so impactful that we had set it up so we would receive with 4 every time he went back to serve. He came out in that 3rd set. They had spun it 3 times, and they got us in a 3-man rotation and bigger seams, took advantage of it. 4th set, we spun it back, and I guessed right. You know, you're kind of guessing, and they started in 4, and we started in 4. So we were able to get back into 4-man with him at the service line. It also put Tread up there, and Tread's a much more effective blocker right now than Finn was. So it got him up blocking a little earlier too. So you know, just some of that, the chess matches going on. But look, Nikolov, when we played him a few weeks ago, you didn't think he'd go 6 straight set without him getting anything. That is an impressive skill set that he has for sure.
Adrien, have you had a chance to talk to your family after today's match, and what did it mean to you to have the performance you did with them in the stands?
Yeah, the first thing they told me is that I'm lucky to have them because every time they come see me, I win. So
They go to Ohio?
They paid the ticket. No, yeah, for sure. Being able to play in front of my family, obviously it's far, and I don't know. Even my cousins, I don't see a lot, like once a year, and we never see each other play. So I'm just happy to show them like how I can play.
Adrien, coach has been saying it all year. He said it on the microphone in the middle of the court about this being the best place to play volleyball in the world. You getting to experience this really for the first time at this level, your thoughts and how much do you agree with him?
I mean, yeah, like it's the only place on earth when you finish a game, if you lose or win, it's the same. Like every fans here, you know, like they really consider you as people of your family, and it just feels great. And you want to like they show you so much love during the game and after games that you just want to like give 100% at every game to, you know, yeah.
And coach, the whole talk heading into this tournament was how many teams will the Big West get, and for your team to be able to control their own destiny like that and take it out of the equation and say, we're going to earn it this way, how proud are you of them?
Yeah, and I mean, look, and it's what I've said. Like I said, I'm still pissed about 2018, and ever since then, it's like, look, we know there's going to be a championship match. We have to be in it. We have to win it. And anything else is out of our control. And then there were times this year when we got to the point, to use the phrase that you said, at this moment, we now control our own destiny. Early in the year, there's so much going on and stuff, but you start getting down to the end, it's like we control our destiny, and certainly had that front of mind coming into this week that we knew if we played good 2 nights in a row, we'd be champions.
What can you guys say about Finn Kearney at the opposite, you know, coming in place of Christian injured? I think it was the first or second set where he had like 3 or 4 points to take you guys from like 19-19 to 23-20. What you guys can say about him, just kind of being ready and at the opposite position?
I think no, Finn is a really great player. He's in a tough position. You don't play a lot the whole year, and one guy is injured, and you need to replace Christian Tetritsky. Like it's not like just a random guy. He was the go-to guy of the team. And he did a really great job adapting with the setter, playing with a full crowd, and just like take his spot. So yeah, no, definitely he did a really, really great job about that. And we're super confident about all our bench, to be honest. Like if tomorrow anyone is injured, I think everyone will have a really depth bench. So no, definitely really, really great job. But that's the same thing. Clay started to play after I went, and if Clay needs to play again, he will be there. And that's just like how it is. The B team is always ready to go in and prove they're the best. So, yeah, that's what we have. Hawaii.
Coach, just to kind of follow up on that, though, can you just talk about
maybe the gratification of what this team has been through, where you lose a guy like Christian, that's not easy to kind of make up for that and be standing here at the end. And I know we talked at the beginning of the year, you're never going to use the term young, but these are freshmen playing in a tournament like this for the first time. Just can you talk about the process it's been just the last 3 weeks without Christian to get to this point and then win tonight?
Yeah, again, you just got to be proud of the guys stepping up, and really, it's the hard work that went into it in the fall and throughout the year. That's why, like in January and February, when I'm rolling out different lineup out there, and it's like, we're not just throwing the starters out. We are developing the bench and developing the depth and meaningful. Like we go on the road, down to North Carolina, we play the whole second team. Let them get out there and prove. Because at the end of the year, when you need them, they're going to be more comfortable. Finn's he's played left and right in the same match. You've seen that, and he's a really talented player. He worked hard all year to take advantage of this opportunity. If he'd kind of checked out and been, disappointed that he wasn't playing all the time, he would not have been able to play to the level that he did this week. We hope we get Christian back. It's been 3 weeks. It's another couple of weeks away. Christian is, one of top 4 or 5 point scorers in the country. He's a dominant player. But if he's not ready to go, like you said, we know we got other guys that are going to step up and give us a chance to win.
Louis and Adrien, what does it mean for you guys to be able to have a chance to compete in the NCAA tournament, especially after the team, missed out on it last year?
I was there last year, so I can talk a little bit more about it. We're really excited. So it's a new thing for us, definitely. And we lost against UCI last year, so it's like a revenge both times. And be able to beat Long Beach is a really great thing for confidence too. We beat the first team in the country right now, and beat them in 4 sets, and we really controlled the game. So for confidence, it's always better. And I think we just did a great job. Even with injuries and everything, we all take our responsibility. Adrien made 2 great game. We're serving great, we're passing great, and I think we're just starting to be more consistent too. So I think we just need to keep going, and I don't even know what we're gonna happen in the NCAA tournament. But I'm confident we're gonna do our best to represent Hawaii there, and we're really excited.
And that was Louis Sakanoko along with Adrien Roure and head men's volleyball coach Charlie Wade following their Big West Conference Tournament championship win over Long Beach State, again in 4 sets, 25-21, 25-22, 21-25, and 25-22. And I thought that was a fun little thing to point out. I don't know if you were able to watch the replay, Paul, but so they were Hawaii for how many? I think 9 sets or so. I think Charlie mentioned that they were able to hold Moni Nikolov, one of the nation's best players and servers, to no aces for that entire time. And the only time he did finally get an ace and riddled off 4 aces was because there's the start of the 3rd set, there was a little bit of a gamemanship aspect by Long Beach State, and they kind of tried to match their rotation with the lineup that Hawaii was putting out there. So I was like, that's what it took to kind of even getting yellow carded for the delay of game and all of that stuff. So that's what they had to do in order to try to get an ace on Hawaii, because they were just so solid. Again, talking about Ileu Choi, but even just their serve receive that Hawaii has been able to put together and be so sound with down the stretch for this back half of the season and into this conference tournament, and hopefully will carry on into the NCAA tournament, has just been phenomenal. Again, we weren't sure what to expect when we got a bit mid-season, right? And you're like, all right, what is this team? And then now it's all kind of coming together. And as I mentioned before, we hit that post game with Adrien Roure, seeming like he is finally acclimated to college volleyball and college life and earning himself that MVP of the tournament. So it's going to be fun watching them in the NCAA tournament. Again, the selection show was yesterday, and Hawaii drew the winner of Damon or Penn State. Hawaii getting the number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Long Beach State still up there again. So there could potentially be a rematch of Big West foes in the NCAAs. But then before that, Hawaii could potentially, if they take care of business, obviously, don't want to look past Damon or Penn State, but they could potentially be matched up with UCLA, who UCLA got upset in the MPSF. So men's college volleyball this year seems like the most wide open and more wide open than ever because you've seen some of the favorites and some of the top teams in the country go down, and then you see like a team like Hawaii who has the pieces to be the top, but then they'll drop games that you weren't even expecting, like CSUN, like getting swept by these teams that you know they're better than, and that's what happened. So I'm kind of looking forward to this NCAA tournament coming up for men's volleyball because, again, it does feel like it's wide open. Long Beach State obviously playing with that huge chip on their shoulder, would like to redeem this Big West Conference tournament loss and try to win the Natty because at the end of the day, that's always what the sights are set on. So it's going to be a fun, like I said, tournament. It's going to be on May 8th, the first day that Hawaii plays. It'll be at 7:30 a.m. Hawaii time. So that will be a weekday. So maybe Paul and I will probably we'll be jumping on air, and then we'll probably have the game on and try to keep you updated as it goes on. So it's on next week, Thursday, again, May 8th, when Hawaii plays next, 7:30 a.m. Hawaii time against the winner of Damon or Penn State in the quarterfinal round. It'll be a fun time next week.
Absolutely. And no matter what, I will have a team that Hawaii will be going against that is from somewhat near where I'm from, because I have a bunch of friends who are Penn State alum. And Damon was my sister's safety school. So there you go. So that's actually what I thought. As soon as I heard, like, oh, this is the play-in matchup, blah, 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 I was like, no, wait a second here.
How were the vibes yesterday at the selection show? Because from watching the video, it seems so, like, anticlimactic. Like, the team was just like, yay. I mean, obviously, they have the auto bid, so they knew they were in it. But at least kind of, like, act excited. It was totally like, oh, yay.
I mean, they got the automatic qualifier, so like you said, they knew they were already in. Really, the only question was if they were going to be 1 or 2, and they went in expecting to be the number 2 seed. And Charlie kind of said this in his avail to the media, where it's not that it was like a disappointing thing, and it's not that it was they were hoping for the 1 seed. One way or another, they were going to have to play some really tough teams. They didn't really care if they were the 1 seed or not. Like, it's a nice feather to have in your cap. It's one that, like, as the rankings came out, or as the bracket came out, like, it was fun to listen to them kind of poke fun at each other. Like, when they talk about Tread Rosenthal, future Olympic setter for Team USA or whatever, you know, that got him a good ribbing from the teammates and whatnot, and stuff like that. So there were moments that were fun, but all in all, it was more just this is the next step in taking care of business. And I think that just kind of fits what they've been all year in terms of Charlie didn't want this team to be pitched to the public as a young team. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be looked at as, you know, some inexperienced team who is like not ready for the tournament. Like, this was the expectation for them all year long. Maybe not for people on the outside. Maybe people had questions on the outside, but for them, this was the expectation. They know that they have to beat some good teams. Luckily, they've faced Penn State already, so if they do end up facing the Nittany Lions, then at least they have a little familiarity there. But no matter what, you're going to have to likely take down the defending national champion in UCLA. You're going to have to, or not defending national champion. You know what I mean. UCLA, who has a national championship pedigree, or Long Beach State, or both, to win a national title. And before that, you're going to have to take down another team who made the tournament. Very excited. Going to be a really fun tournament. A lot of really good volleyball been played this year. Wide open. Could be Hawaii, could be Long Beach State, could be UCLA, could be literally anybody, but you got to tune in and watch to check it on out, and maybe listen to us as well as they have their first round matchup.
I was like, you can tune into us and maybe have the game on mute and still listen to us.
I'll do exactly what we're going to do.
So again, opening round is May 2nd, and that is just the one single play-in game that they have for men's volleyball, and that is the Damon Penn State game. Again, winner moves on to take on the 2 seed Hawaii, and then in the same side of the bracket in Hawaii, you have UCLA versus Belmont Abbey. So that's who Hawaii will play should they move on to the semifinal round. And then on the other side of the bracket, you have Fort Valley State versus Long Beach State, and then you have Pepperdine versus Loyola Chicago. And then of course winners move on to that portion of the bracket semifinal, and everything except the play-in game, the opening round held in Columbus, Ohio, on the campus of Ohio State University. All right, I'm gonna take a break. When we come back, we will completely kind of switch gears and let you know what you missed with the Hawaii baseball championship games that we were out covering if you guys didn't tune in. So we'll be right back to talk about that next on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Thank you guys for tuning in this and every weekday morning from 8 to 10, or watching on our YouTube channel like you are right now, or every single Monday. Again, we're streaming live, but be sure to like and subscribe, and that is why you are the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. All right, want to get into some OIA championship a recap. Again, we were at softball on Friday and then baseball on Saturday. Our packed weekend. Thank you if you tuned into our doubleheader broadcast on each night. Kyle Galdera and Paul Brecht were there. We'll start off with baseball. We'll get into softball recap a little later in the show. Again, a huge shout out and congratulations to let's start off with the D2 in Farrington. Farrington beating Kapolei 8-5 for their first OIA championship since 2018 and just their second OIA championship overall. Thomas Nakashima, shout out to him, named our Fun Factory VIP of the game, scored a couple of runs and drove in two more and pitched two scoreless innings. So he did a little bit of everything, Thomas Nakashima did, and that's why he earned our Fun Factory VIP of the game. Also the championship for first-year Farrington head coach Dylan Takara, who he's been on the staff for a few years, but first time taking over and takes over for Eric Tokunaga, who had won the other, or was the head coach when Farrington last won again in 2018. So shout out to Tokes. Also, Tokes playing a special role on our OIA broadcast the last season when Paul and Michael called like that insane game, Farrington regular season game, and Tokes got ejected in that game and was hanging out in the press box.
The first inning.
Hanging out with Paul and Michael in the press box for that game. So it always makes me chuckle when you think about Coach Tokes. And he was there. I love him. He was there in the regular season game with for Farrington and Waianae, and apparently he was like having fun with his colorful, not so colorful language during that game as well. So
I think it was him and Michael having a grand old time over to Kyle and I's right. It was a good time. We love Coach Stokes. We love Farrington. We love all our OIE athletes. This was a really fun game. A unique game. I think that's the best way that I'm going to be able to put it, right? And Kyle and I talked about it.
It's crazy.
15 total walks that Farrington ended up drawing. They had 2 total hits, but those 2 hits were really, really big, right? They end up putting up those 8 runs because of each of those 2 swings. You have 3 RBI on each of them, and then like you mentioned before, Thomas Nakashima, our VIP of the game. Thank you and shout out to Fun Factory for their consistent support of OIA athletics here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network this past season and really all year. He was outstanding in a lot of different ways. He drew 5 walks, so not just 1, not just 2, not just 3, not just 4, 5 of them, a full handful every single time he got up. Was a menace once he got on the base paths, continued to keep the line rolling, and did a nice job settling things down when it got a little bit shaky in the later innings for Farrington. So a real nice job deserved by him. Kyle Hayase Fong did a nice job on the mound starting things out. Started to lose it a little bit late in terms of his command, but that's why you saw Thomas Nakashima come in. A great job by the coaching staff of Farrington, understanding how far to push their starter before pulling the plug. And they took down a really, really strong Kapolei team, one that had lost just one time up into that point this season. And a big reason why Kapolei lost was just because they were unable to find the strike zone consistently, because I think it's almost more a testament to the Hurricanes and how good they are that they gave away 15 free passes and almost won this game still. Like, they should not have really been in this, but the pitching, when it needed to lock in, when the defense needed to make a play, a lot of times they did, and that's a testament to the Hurricanes and the championship medal that they had as well to compete. And despite losing in the OIA championship game, they still punched their ticket to the state tournament, so their season's not POW quite yet, still a chance to redeem themselves in the state tournament. But like you said, congratulations to Farrington, their first since 2018, a really, really awesome effort by them. They finished in 4th place in the OIA during the regular season. They've won 5 straight games. Actually, the last time we had called them, that game versus YNI is the last time they lost. Since then, 5-0-1. They'd had a 9-9 tie in there as well. But a really, really great job by the Govs, playing their best baseball at the best time, and it results in an OIA championship.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, such a weird game because of all those walks. A game that was, if you guys aren't familiar, like in high school baseball and softball, it's just 7 innings. So we thought like the game times of 3 and 6 p.m. was more than enough time to get the D1 game started at 6, and the D2 game just kept going and going and going, looking at the clock like, man, we're coming up against it now in between games. I don't even know what the final time was on that game. But again, shout out to the Farrington Governors, just their 2nd OIA title, and wish them all the best in states. All right, going over to D1, that was a pitcher's duel that we saw. That was a
different game, but still just as fun.
That was a game that just was going so quick. You're like, wow, are we already in the 5th inning before the game kind of started to slow down? Because both pitching performances by both squads in Mililani and Kaiser were phenomenal. But Mililani coming out on top 2-1 over Kaiser again. And before that, the Mililani, his name escapes me, but tossed a perfect game against Kailua. I think that was
Kai Hirayama.
Yeah, that was a game that was like just an hour and a half, because in that Friday night game, it was like a pitcher's duel with that. I think Kailua, they tossed they only allowed 3 hits in the entire game. So
3-hitter, 1 run, 3 hits,
it was
and
crazy.
lost. Somehow got outpitched.
Hey.
Unbelievable.
And then I know
hide
Kaiser,
that smile a little bit.
Kaiser, obviously, without the services of one of their top aces in Bryson Toner, because he had already pitched a couple of games before, so wasn't able to go. but Caleb Wada threw a complete game one hitter for Mililani. And I believe he was the Spectrum Impact player. But for us, the Fun Factory VIP of the game was Jonah Parker, who drove in both runs to help the Trojans win the OIA Division I title. So this is just their fifth OIA title, first since 2022 when they actually riddled off 3 in a row at that time. But I was just telling Alan, like, wow, it's really because I joked with Dane Fujinaka, who was also there because he was talking about how he was supporting some Kaiser kids. And then I was like, wow, what you got against like recruiting Mililani? And he's like, he looked at me, gave me that look, and he's like, yeah, they're all going to like Oregon, UH. And I'm like, oh. And I told Alan, like, because when I was in high school, Mililani in baseball was like, they were okay. And then now the program obviously is like at another level. So Mililani baseball is there. But no, shout out to the Trojans again, winning the Division I baseball title over Kaiser 2-1. So what are some of your takeaways from that game, Paul?
One, Kaiser will still continue to be a threat as we go into the tournament, state tournament. It's just the amount of pitching that they have. We've seen them be able to produce runs before. So this by no means is the end of their year, the end of their run. It's disappointing, obviously, to fall short when you get to the championship game, but you just get outfoxed by a Mililani squad that, I mean, their pitching is so impressive. Like you mentioned before, Kai Hirayama throws a perfect game. Still can't believe that. A perfect game in the OIA semifinals against a really good Kailua team, by the way. Like a very, very good Kailua team. And then comes out the next night, it seemed as though, you know, how do you follow that up if you are any of his teammates? And, well, Caleb Wada, he said, well, watch this. And it really, really was impressive. He had it working from the first pitch on. There was one point where I thought we might get back-to-back perfect games, which was insane. I believe it ended up being either 11 or 12 straight perfect innings for Mililani, sitting down opponents 1, 2, 3, because Kaiser didn't produce a base runner until either the 5th or 6th inning when they scored. 5th inning, yeah. So the 5th inning, really, really impressive performance by Wada. But I was also glad, I'll say this, to go away from Wada for our VIP of the game, because I had a feeling that Spectrum might end up going with him for their impact player of the game. And luckily for me, I had another really good option in Jonah Parker. 2 hits, which outdid Kaiser, who had just the 1 hit all night. 2 hits, the 2 runs batted in, the go-ahead hit, the big base knock, and also had a really nice scoop to end the game where if he lets a throw get by him there, likely lets the tying run score, and we might go to extra innings in that. And I was thankful that we didn't go to extra innings.
Yeah.
So, jokes aside, I thought that defensive play on top of delivering the go-ahead base hit was deserving of our VIP honors. Mililani, 11-2 for a reason. They are champions for a reason. Followed some really, really strong pitching and got the timely hits when they needed it. Now, good luck to them as they go into the state tournament. They'll also need it as there's some really good baseball teams, not just here in Hawaii on Oahu, but those neighbor islands are always very, very strong as well.
Yeah, according to our Kyle Galdera, though, and this isn't a homer outlook by any means, but I guess Kamehameha Kapalama is supposed to be very, very strong, and they have phenomenal pitching too, so we'll see. Maybe we'll get a lot of quick baseball games in the state tournament when we get into the later rounds. But again, shout out to the new OIA champs in Mililani and Farrington, and our VIP of the game, Fun Factor VIP of the games in Jonah Parker for Mililani and Thomas Nakashima for Farrington. All right, going to take a break. We'll be back to wrap up hour number 1, and hour number 2 we'll get into letting you know what you missed in the OIA softball championships and a lot more stuff. But we'll be right back to wrap up hour number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Right, just a few minutes left in hour number one. Want to at least touch on a little bit of baseball or continue our baseball conversation, but now on the collegiate level. If you guys were out watching UH baseball, that was a fun time for you guys. Hawaii dropping the Friday game against Cal State Bakersfield in 10 innings. So once again, Manoa Magic just not showing up for the Rainbow Warriors, but at least able to redeem themselves and win a couple of games against CSUB on Saturday, 5-4, and then yesterday afternoon, 11-4. A game that started a little later, so we thought we were rain delayed, and then Hawaii got rain delayed a little bit in Manoa, but fortunately for the Rainbow Warriors, they were able to play and finish out their game against the Roadrunners. So again, and then this is the fun weekend for all the baseball fans, though, as the number 7 ranked Oregon State comes to town to play at the Les Murakami Stadium. So I can imagine a lot of baseball fans are looking forward to that one again. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So one game apiece, none of the doubleheaders. So a 4-game series again against the number 7 ranked Oregon State. Friday and Saturday's games are at 6:35 and Monday's game. And then Sunday is at 1:05. We were out covering HPU baseball. As we mentioned, the HPU game against Chaminade. It was senior night for Chaminade, and it got HPU. They were up, and we thought all right, both games scheduled for 7 innings. It was great. We're all right, we're gonna have 2 games here. They moved it up. It was supposed to originally be at 3 and 6 p.m., but because of the forecasted bad weather, they moved it up to 10 and 1. 10 a.m. game. The weather was gorgeous. HPU was pretty much dominating that game and just easily hitting a lot of the Chaminade pitchers. And then Chaminade just wasn't going to go away. They ended up tying it in the 7th. And then we go, quote unquote, extras because, again, regularly scheduled for 7. And then we went extras. And then extras, even if it was a 9-inning game, until the game got halted in the 10th inning. So, no game number 2. And they got halted in the 10th inning, so they still need to finish that. If HPU was completely out of the Pac West standings, they probably just would have been all right, let's just pack up, let's just go home. But these last 2 games do matter for HPU, so they need to play out, and we'll see. It should be on Friday, I think, but it will, we'll see what happens. And as the Pac West Conference standing goes right now, so HPU is in it. Westmont is up there. Point Loma. Jessup is technically 3rd, but they're not eligible. So Hawaii Pacific is in it. Vanguard is right behind HPU, but they're not eligible for the postseason. And then you have Biola and Concordia, who Biola is at 20 and 20. Concordia is at 19 and 21. Those 2 teams is kind of interesting because those 2 teams finish out in a 4-game series of the regular season. So at least HPU is in it, and they're not stressing like Biola and Concordia, and it seems like HPU has locked themselves into that 3rd seed in the Pac West Conference tournament. But we will see what happens because the wins, they would like to win these last 2 games against Chaminade, won the first 2 games of the series, want to win the last 2 games to get them closer to a potential regional tournament berth. So that's why they still need to play things out, but we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you guys updated with whether or not we'll have that game. But we gotta take a break. We'll be back for hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den, hour number 2. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani, right next to Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. Welcome in to anyone just joining us, or maybe you were hanging out with us in hour number 1. We are streaming live on our YouTube channel, as we do this in every Monday, and sometimes every once in a while throughout the week and stuff, but for now, just on Mondays regularly. So thank you guys for not only tuning in on the radio, on demand, or also just watching us on our YouTube channel. All right, gonna get a lot more to get into in hour number 2. Hour number 1, we touched on a little bit of everything, some men's volleyball, some high school baseball, some college baseball. This we'll get into the NFL draft in just a little bit, but also coming up in hour number 2, we'll get into some OIA softball and let you guys know what you missed. Some UH men's basketball commitments that I know that kept Paul very busy, as if it wasn't like already busy for us here. When we talk about we were busy, it's like just, a little bit of everything. Again, we were keeping up with just our usual daily stuff that we knew when we put in our calendar, this is what's coming up for the week. And then there's this other stuff with men's basketball news coming in. So it was just like, here.
The best part
let's go.
And I know we'll get into it more, but the best part about the men's basketball stuff was that I knew about some of it like early, but there was some of it that I found out. Let me rephrase that, because I also found out about the other news early. But it's more that it was just one I had at least prepped some notes for. The other one I was just like, whoa, hang on. What are you talking about?
Slow down.
But it's good. I'd rather that. Good news. Because last year I was scouring the web for any rumor, whether it was on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, freaking LinkedIn, whatever, I would look for whatever rumor, and it got to August and we're still recruiting. Whereas now, 6 spots within the transfer portal alone filled. You also have a pretty high-ranking prep guard coming in. Like, this has been really busy, really fun, and it's created positive buzz around the program, which, I don't know, it's been a little bit since we've got that.
Oh, yeah, even the usual, very harsh critics on the Twitter finger critics on X or Twitter, even they're coming around. So that's when you know there's some positive momentum, is even the harshest people that hide behind their usernames and don't have their actual name to all of the negative comments that they say about certain programs or teams. When I see them actually posting positive stuff, I'm like, all right, that's when we know it's headed in the right direction. So coming up in a little bit, in about maybe 10 minutes or so, Paul will get us caught up with everything we need to know and maybe things we may have missed when it comes to recruits. If you guys haven't looked already on hawaiisportsradio.com, because there are more detailed write-ups that Paul has shared there as well. So if you guys haven't want to learn more about some of the new men's basketball prospects coming in, make sure you check out all of Paul's write-ups. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. And want to get into now, though, with the NFL draft, as we mentioned in hour number 1, but we'll shout them out again. Former UH football players, quarterback Braden Shager got invited to Ravens minicamp, and then defensive back Cam Stone and offensive lineman Luke Felix Fualalo got invited to Seahawks minicamp. So wish them all the best, and hopefully they find themselves a job now at the next level of the NFL. Obviously, shout out to Hawaii's and Mililani high schools. Dylan Gabriel. Woo! Dylan Gabriel getting drafted in day number 2, which was kind of the shock.
What quarterback did he end up being? Was it 4 or 5?
5, I think. He ended up being the 5th one off the board, and that was kind of the surprise. We were out at softball at that time, and when I saw the alert come in, I'm like, wait, what? And I looked over at Kyle. I was like, hey, look, Dylan, trying to show him the alert on the ESPN app that Dylan got drafted. Because we were saying all last week, right, Paul? I'm pretty sure he should get drafted on Saturday, in the later rounds.
I was certain he would get drafted. It was not a certainty he would get drafted before the final, 4, 5, 6, 7th round, right? when he was taken that early, it was hard to hold in the excitement from it, right? Because a lot of times we've talked about it before. The NFL falls in love with the measurements, and they'll fall in love with the speed or your athletics and all this stuff. And that's not to say that Dylan's not an outstanding athlete, because he is. To play in the NFL, you have to be an outstanding athlete. But, he's a little bit shorter than what you'd expect from an NFL quarterback. He doesn't have the greatest arm strength, blah, 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 blah. But this, to me, was like the NFL saying, hey, we get all that. This guy can play QB. That was really cool to see. To me, it couldn't happen to a better guy, somebody who just came back and gave back to his community. We had that, and Michael did a nice job covering that for us as well. And it's just, I don't know, I was very, very excited for him that he got that chance. And I know there's the narrative, or there's the storyline that he got taken before Shedeur Sanders and whatever.
We'll get into that a little bit, because I want to emphasize Dylan a little bit more, because their GM of the Cleveland Browns, Andrew Berry, said it was about his accuracy, decision making, pocket presence, and Andrew Berry saying that was in and outside of the pocket. Thinks those skill sets play well in their particular system that they're running right now. So the Browns were still very high on Dylan. Again, drafted in the 3rd round with the 94th overall pick by the Cleveland Browns. And like we said, the 5th quarterback drafted. Obviously, we know Cam Ward and Jackson Dart were drafted by Tennessee and the New York Giants, respectively, in the 1st round. Tyler Show was taken in the 2nd round by the Saints. And Jalen Milroe went 2 picks before Dylan Gabriel to the Seattle Seahawks. So again, those 5 quarterbacks being taken. I wanted to share something too that I saw on social media about Jalen Milroe, because I think it's a very good testament to share. Again, it almost feels like this was like a learning thing for, I hope, for a lot of young players that are watching the draft and saw how things played out. Jalen Milroe said, so one of the teams asked Jalen Milroe a series of questions about what he was really good at. And then they asked him what he could get better at. And his answer was, quote, "How much time do you have?" And the guy goes, "We're sitting there interviewing Jalen Milroe, and he's telling us all the areas that he's working on right now." To which this team said to him, "Are you not concerned? Pointing out those things to us would concern us." He basically said to them, you should be concerned with any guy that comes in this room who hasn't played a down of NFL football and doesn't tell you that he has weaknesses or that he isn't working on them. Plus, it's an insult, because that means he doesn't think you know how to watch film. And I'm like, wow, kudos to you, Jalen Milroe, for really being that self-aware and very, again, more humble going into the draft rooms with all of these. We always talk about with the job interviews, right? For a lot of these quarterbacks, going and meeting with these NFL GMs and NFL owners. And like Paul was kind of just mentioning, seeing someone like Dylan Gabriel, it's not like Dylan is doing the good things to make himself look good to the NFL. He's just doing that out of the goodness of his heart. But those are things that the NFL looks at, right? Like some of these outside things, as if they don't have social media and they're not looking at what you do outside of football. What are the things you care about outside of football? Because as if this league doesn't already have all kinds of controversies with players getting into trouble. And that's kind of what we said last week with Dylan. Like there was no doubt that he would get drafted simply because, one, he's a good quarterback, even though, yes, the height thing and everything may be a knock on him. He's someone that you wouldn't mind having in your locker room, and maybe he could grow to be a solid backup quarterback, and who knows, maybe even filling in a starting job, right? Like he does, I feel like, have a very high ceiling. And again, Dylan Gabriel drafted before Shedeur Sanders, and it just goes on the flip side to show when you come into the NFL and you are trying to be bigger than the NFL, you will get humbled really, really quick. And again, if your skill isn't enough for them to overlook that, they will let you know. And it's like the narrative about collusion. I'm like, no, they're not getting together and saying, let's do this to this kid. It's just the fact that they all think the same. They're like, you're coming in here and you're making like you don't care. Some reports of like, just him having this type of perception. Deion Sanders going on podcasts saying there are some teams that he's not going to play for. All of that stuff. And they look at, again, like how Jalen Milroe said, it's like they watch film. They know that he's not that good. Like he's not Fortunately, someone like Patrick Mahomes, the greatest quarterback in the league right now, is someone that has a really good image, right? So by all accounts, good husband, good dad, a good teammate. But if Patrick Mahomes, say, was going like messed up some way or another, there's ways that the NFL and the ownership of the Kansas City Chiefs would be like, no, don't look in that direction, right? Because he's just a talent that you're like, they're going to do everything they can to have Patrick Mahomes be okay to play. If you're not that good, you just need that little bit of knock, like this ego mentality that Shedeur Sanders has, and come in with the baggage of Deion Sanders, and basically having the ego as if he is his dad. like Deion Sanders earned kind of the demeanor that he has. I mean, the guy is like one of the greatest football players ever. Like, he's a phenomenal athlete. Like,
might be the best ever.
Deion Sanders, he earned and I hate to say he earned the right to be a little cocky, but at the same time, it's like he proved himself, and that's why he carries himself the way that he is. Shedeur, he's unproven. He didn't even go to the national championship, didn't do much in college, all of that stuff. Got his jersey retired again. I know that was with the help of Deion. But if you come into the NFL room with that ego and your football like cred isn't that strong, you're going to fall in the NFL draft. So it was really fun to see Mel Kiper kind of lose himself, because even Reese Davis was trying to explain to him, like, no, this isn't about his football talent, because Mel Kiper's like, he's the number 2 best talent in this quarterback class.
He wasn't. Like, no, he wasn't. So this is something that drove me crazy.
I'll give it to you, Paul.
God.
I was like, let me finish. I was like, I know Paul's like steaming over there, but
Mel Kiper drove me crazy.
So Mel Kiper was saying like he's the number 2 talent. I know even like Skip Bayless was like going off. Stephen A. Smith, like all of these guys were going off.
Three guys who don't know football.
But even if he was the number 2 talent even if he was, we've been talking about it for like an entire week, 2 weeks, that this quarterback draft class was so weak compared to like last year, is weak compared to what next year potentially is. So this quarterback draft class was not worth, hey, if you're going to come in and be like egotistical, sorry, like we don't need you on this team. We saw with Jalen Carter, for goodness sake, of like what he had to deal with. And the Eagles scored on taking someone like that. Like, they will overlook all this stuff. It's not about being a confident person. It's about being a little too cocky. Like, confidence is good in football at a quarterback position. It's not about being confident. It's about being like your head's too big for your talent. And that's what happened. And yeah, Mel Kiper losing it, even though Reese Davis, and I forget the other analyst that was trying to talk him down a ledge. Like, it's not about it's about the fact that he went into rooms like this. And everyone's losing it. And I feel like the vast majority of people and analysts understand that it wasn't necessarily about the quarterback talent ranking, and it was simply about the talent not being better than the way that he was parading himself in these, not just to these interviews and everything, but just you see, again, on social media, you see Dillon Gabriel doing all of these good things. On social media, you see Shedeur Sanders caring about everything outside of football instead of just playing football. I mean, there was video going on with him and Cam Ward where he's like, what do you do for your hobby? Shedeur is asking Cam, he's like, I'm a football player. I want to be known as when people Google my name, I want them to see American football player. And Shedeur was like, you got to have other hobbies. Like, let's do a song together. So there's all of these things that the NFL and the staff, they can see. And for everyone, for all of these quote experts to be shocked that this happened to Shedeur Sanders, to fall this far, for Dillon to get drafted before him, I'm like, man, I all of a sudden feel really good about myself as a football expert, because it was almost comical to see them lose it so much. As you guys can see, Paul is just like hand on his forehead, just like
I don't get it. Okay, because I'll finish my point on Dillon from before. I'm very happy for Dillon. I know the Browns actually really liked him. They like the owners, the coaches, the front office. They flew out privately, secret workout with Dillon beforehand, brought him in on a top 30 visit. Like this wasn't just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Like, they legitimately like Dillon Gabriel as a prospect. They legitimately think that he is a strong quarterback prospect. Does he have question marks? Absolutely. But also, like you mentioned, there are things he played quarterback at a high level at some high level programs, and on top of that, he won doing that. On top of that, he didn't totally put the finger to the nose to half the NFL in his interviews. And I totally get it. Is Shedeur better talent-wise than a 5th-round pick? 100%. 100%. That is not up for debate. But also, he wasn't a first-round pick on the majority of boards. Consensus-wise, he was at the late end of the first round. In what you just said is a not strong quarterback class. In a year that not a ton of teams needed quarterbacks right away. Now, does that mean that they wouldn't like to find their franchise quarterback in this draft? No, absolutely not. I'm sure they would have loved to. And a bunch of teams took swings, but a lot of teams had Shedeur more closely graded to guys like Will Howard, more closely graded to guys like Kyle McCord or Dylan Gabriel or these guys, Jalen Milroe, the guys who went later in the draft than a Cam Ward. I said it before the draft. This was a guy who was very likely going to see his stock drop. I thought the earliest he would go was 21 to the Steelers. Because realistically speaking, I know there was the conversation about the Giants. I know there was the conversation about the Saints. The Saints weren't going to take anybody in the top 10. They just weren't. There's better talent. There were better fits all the time. There were players who could have gone at that point. And then at that point, after the Steelers didn't take him, then it was who was trading up for him. The Giants traded up. They clearly like Jackson Dart more. There was a report that came out that Shedeur and Brian Daboll clashed during their interview, their meeting. That I would believe. So, all right, now another spot off the board. They're not going to spend another high-level pick on 2 quarterbacks in, back-to-back rounds. So now another place has gone off the board. And if you think about it, all right, now this is a guy who reportedly, once again, put his thumb to the nose of a majority of front offices and people where it's like, he seemed not interested in their interviews. There were so many different things, and people started to make it that this is a vendetta versus Dion. This is that. No. Maybe in the biggest interview of your life, you should be respectful of it and of other people's time, even if you don't want to go there, because it's a good learning experience. And do I hope that Shedeur has a great career? Yeah. Absolutely. Do I think it's BS that Jax Ulbrich and his friends had a prank call on him? Yeah, I think that's really crappy. I think that was terrible, and I would never wish that upon anybody. But the crybaby stuff from Mel Kiper all weekend, absolutely ruining it for so many other guys who deserved a great recognition for a lifelong achievement this weekend. And all he could do was focus on this one guy who continued to fall for reasons that we all knew before the draft. It was so frustrating. It was just so frustrating.
Well, that's why I was frustrated, and I mentioned it on our draft show, because the highlights leading up to the draft, they kept talking about Shedeur, and I'm like, everyone knows he's not, he wouldn't compete with last year's draft class. He's not, this phenomenal quarterback, so can we do your job? Yes, because I feel like on our show, I feel like we like to try to give people stories that they might not know about, right? We talk a lot about our D2 friends. We talk a lot about the OIA and some stories. I felt like ESPN National, can you tell me about other players that I might not know about in this draft? Do your job and let me know about other phenomenal players that I might not know if I don't watch every single football league. But it was just so much of Shedeur, and I get it. They want us, sure, I'm sure in social media world, fine, he's you want some of the eyeballs, but it's it was so much about him, and then it fed into this whole narrative, and then to not, again, like you said, they took away from some of the guys that did get drafted. I was disappointed when Dylan's name got called, and you could hear the gasp of the announcers being like, oh my gosh, instead of being like, wow, that's cool, that's such a shock, good for Dylan, and tell me your expertise on how he fits in with the Browns. But it was oh, he's going before Shedeur, blah, 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 blah.
It took over the entire draft, and it didn't need to. He's good. He's, like I said, is he better than where he went? Yes. But this happens all the time. We see players drop who are very good for various reasons. And listen, I'm not trying to compare Shedeur being quote unquote cocky or whatever you want to label him as some of these other guys who are women beaters or who commit legitimate crimes or whatever. I'm not making that comparison. But we see it all the time. We see players drop all the time. It's not an indictment on, oh, they're going to be a bust or whatever. This doesn't mean Shedeur sucks. It doesn't mean everybody hates him. It doesn't, none of that. It doesn't mean any of that. Yeah. It's okay. He was taken in the 5th round. The greatest quarterback of all time, I'm going to throw up, was taken in the 6th round. Okay? You know why? Because he was an unspectacular athlete. Because he had question marks about him.
And his measurables were like, ugh.
And you know what happened? He went to a great place for him. He put his head down. And when he got his opportunity, he made the most of it. And you know what? Shedeur, he has the opportunity to do the exact same thing. He goes to a place that I love for him. I said before the draft, if he was going to go in the top 5, the Browns are one of the places that I like the most for him because I like how he fits in Stefanski's offense. It's the same thing now and a lot less pressure on the front office. If he busts, he busts. But if he hits, then it's a much it's a smaller contract, it's a great swing, and you got really, really lucky that everybody else got really, really worried about something stupid. That's what the case is. It's just, ugh.
And that's the part, I'm like, it's like the all of these experts that have been covering the NFL for much longer than I have don't realize that at the end of the day, the NFL teams, and like Paul mentioned, there are worse human beings Tyreek Hill, for goodness sake, it's like Shedeur Sanders comes off as a better human than Tyreek Hill does.
Way better.
But my God. The reason Hill has a job and continues to sign massive contracts is because he is a very good football player. And again, not condoning how the NFL looks at it, but for all of these people who cover the NFL to think there was some magical collusion, I'm like, the point of the matter is, as it stands right now, Shedeur's talent does not overwhelmingly make up for how he allegedly acted during these interviews.
He also didn't throw at the NFL Combine. He only
if he impressed NFL owners, they would have been like, I'm going to take you because you're so impressive. We're going to overlook how you acted and I'm going to draft you. Even if you came in the room and said you did not want to play for our particular franchise, if you were that good, I am going to draft you and make you get out of playing for us. They would do that. They overlook so much stuff in the NFL that they will take him if he was a good enough quarterback, and he just wasn't to, again, outweigh all of that stuff. Anyways, all right, I want to move on from this topic for now because we can go on for days, and when we come back, we're going to go back to some UH sports and have Paul get you caught up with what you may have missed or a lot of you guys that are listening and watching have already read his recap or write-ups on hawaiisportsradio.com, of course, but in case you haven't yet, he'll get us caught up with the newest commits for the University of Hawaii men's basketball team. Again, keeping himself really, really busy over the weekend, amongst other things. So we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
The Honolulu Zoo. Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network and hawaiisportsradio.com. All right, make sure you guys go to hawaiisportsradio.com to keep up with some of the latest in sports news, including UH men's basketball commitments that seem to be coming in hot. Again, it feels nice to be kind of already thinking about what next season's team will look like before we hit the new season year, because last year was very, very stressful when it came to talking about the UH men's basketball team, as a lot of these signees not only came late, but quite literally came late to even campus. So it was hard to get a grasp on seeing what this new look team would be. And as we know, this upcoming season will be entirely that, a new look team. Pretty much Hawaii losing majority of their team to either graduation and or the transfer portal, or oddly a little bit of both, to graduation and the transfer portal. So I don't know what's going on, but nonetheless, they've been shoring up their roster. As we know, they have a solid point guard who is staying put here in Aaron Hunkin-Clater and just trying to find other pieces. We know we got different new signees coming in, but we talked about the trio last week, but a couple of commitments came out towards the end of last week and even Saturday. Someone that will fit in, though, more of like from coming off the bench. But Paul, just going to kind of give this to you to take over with telling all the beautiful people some of the new guys, the latest commitments to the University of Hawaii men's basketball team.
Well, let's see. I think we start with the guy that you just mentioned in Isaiah Kerr, the most recent commitment. He comes up from the Division II level, which I know for some people will be very exciting because they believe that we never look at the D2 ranks. So this is one that we are. And I really like him. He comes from the CCAA, which is one of, in my opinion, the best conferences in all of Division II consistently. The team who ended up winning the CCAA conference tournament lost the national championship game. So they were the runners-up. I think they lost by like 3 or something along those lines. So a very, very high-quality conference. For those of you out here who might know D2 a little bit, Cal State San Bernardino in there as well, who, by the way, I think it's their head coach that just took the head job at UC Riverside. I think Gus Arginal is his name, something along those lines. I don't know. Anyway, this is a fun little pickup. He's 6'3". He's an athletic guard. Really, really works on the defensive end. High character guy. I really enjoyed my conversation with him, and I know that might not mean a ton to people, but just in the way that he talks about things, seems like he's very thankful for this opportunity, but also not just satisfied to be here. He started his career out at the University of Montana. He redshirted, was one of the youngest players in his high school graduating class. So once he made it to the college level, he kind of used it almost as a prep year. Not seeing a ton of time, goes down to Chico State and kind of bides his time there too for a year. Appears in 30 games, comes off the bench in those 30 games, but was a nice piece for the Wildcats before going into the offseason. And he told me, he's like, after playing that first year but not playing as much as I wanted, it flipped my mindset for the better of, if I wanted to play, if I wanted the time that I believed I deserved, I needed to put in extra effort in my game. I had to improve my jump shot. I had to show on the margins that I was going to make an impact there. So quality rebounder, somebody who's going to give you high-level effort on defense. He was a 35% three-point shooter last year, knocked down 43 threes on decent volume. Started all 29 games that he appeared in. Real strong player to add to the bench depth. To me, he takes what I believe Cody Williams' role would have been this upcoming year, or at least has a chance to take that role, where he's a stockier guard. Not stocky, that's unfair to him, but he's a stronger guard, good athlete, pretty good handle. He's going to be competitive. He'll be able to give you a solid 12 to 18 minutes a night off the bench at both spots at the point guard and shooting guard roles. I think that's important, positional versatility going into this season as well. And he's just a guy who's going to compete for minutes, and Hawaii needs bodies at this point as well. We talked about the graduations, the transfers, and whatever. When you bring in a bunch of players, it's because you've lost a bunch of players. So
and I want to bring up,
exciting
I want to
about
make
that.
sure I bring up the guy that a lot of people are even more excited about.
That's where we're going.
So Friday, again, I know we're like kind of jamming through hour number 2, so I want to make sure we have enough time to get through all of this. So it came in on Friday. We kind of knew it was coming down the pipe, but we're able to announce it yet during the show on Friday. But Hawaii secured the JUCO National Player of the Year in Ike Finlayson, coming over from Snow College. He's a 6'8", a redshirt sophomore, and a forward. So announcing that commitment on Friday. Again, Finlayson named the 2025 NJCAA, NABC, and JUCO Jam National Player of the Year after helping his team to the winningest season in program history. So very excited, as you mentioned, people talking about how UH maybe doesn't look at the D2 programs, and now like, hey,
JUCO.
obviously they're looking at the JUCO level, and they got the best player at the JUCO level here committing to Hawaii. So another one that fans, and especially again 6'8", pretty good size there to come to Hawaii. But how excited, Paul, can fans be about Finlayson coming into town?
This one I'm really pumped about. I don't know if he's going to start right away. He might start right away. He might not. It always depends.
Yeah.
He's got 2 years of eligibility. I would like to see him add a little bit more strength, but his shooting touch, his ability to score from 3 levels, his 3-point shooting just specifically is all what you want. And he comes from a winning program. He helped push Snow over the top this past year to be the top team in all of JUCO Division I for the majority of the year. They got upset on a half-court buzzer beater in the NCAA tournament, or NJCAA tournament, in the regionals after winning a couple of championships themselves. And the team that they lost to ended up falling. They were also the national runners-up. They ended up falling in a heartbreaker in the national title game. So he comes from a winning program. He can score, and I mean he can score. Like, he can really shoot it. He's going to be fun to see going next to some really strong players as well. I'm excited to see with Aaron Hunkin-Clater and Tanner Cuff's passing ability what they can do there. Spaces the floor well, and like you said, just a really exciting addition to this group. And somebody who consistently has grown over his time in college, which I like seeing that as well, because it means his ceiling has not yet been reached. He's going to continue to grow now that he's at this level, and he's got a comfort, a familiarity with some of these other guys that he's coming in with. So excited about him. Another really high character guy, and that continues. When you say high character, some people might get a little worried about that. I'm not saying he's a nice guy. I'm saying that he's a good guy. You know, he's going to take care of business in the classroom. He's going to take care of business leading the team.
I'm pretty sure Hawaii
whatnot.
doesn't recruit anyone that isn't a high character guy.
No. But I just, sometimes high character is another way for people to say soft. That's not what I'm saying at all, especially about him or Isaiah Kerr. Both of them.
That's nice. I hope people don't take high character as being soft. Like, no. I don't think soft when I hear high character, so I'm like, well.
Some people have a funny way of thinking.
Okay. I'm like, I would like to think everyone's high character, and you could be tough and competitive and still have high character. Interesting. Huh. I never heard that before, actually, now that you say it. I've never heard specifically people think that when you say high character, it means soft. I figured soft just means soft. You're soft if you're soft. Anyways, but as we mentioned, so this is a guy that comes in and is almost tabbed, like you said, maybe don't know if he's going to start or not, but
he's going to
is
play.
Projected to be a shooter, someone that we was clearly missing last season, right? Like, this is, hopefully we get back to what we saw when I asked Mike about it. I was like, we need a Jack Purchase. And he was like, that's Finlayson. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I mean, no guarantee he's going to be like a Jack Purchase, but that's the idea and the concept is that we finally have a shooter or someone like Noel Coleman, right? Someone you could confidently pass the ball
except
to.
Noel was 6'2".
Yeah, behind the arc, and they are more times than not going to make those clutch threes because that is 100% what was missing last season. Like, we never felt that. Whoever got the ball behind the arc, you're like, okay, we missed again. You know, it wasn't
You
like
never
that
thought-
fun thing. Like, that was really missing last season. We thought Akira was going to be that, but that didn't really turn out completely. So
I'll pitch it like this to
Finlinson
you.
for fans is kind of that idea. Again, I don't want to put that pressure that he will
No,
for
no,
sure
no.
be, but the concept of where he fits and his role could potentially be on this team is that shooter that we have been missing for this past season.
Most teams have a guy that when you're watching and you see your team give up a wide open look to that guy, you normally cuss under your breath and go, oh,
Leave him open.
right, like not that anybody but that guy. Finlinson has the ability to be that guy for Hawaii. And I think actually there are a few guys on this next year's team who will have that ability to be that for the Rainbow Warriors. And like you mentioned last year, I don't think there was a single player that I felt that way about for the Rainbows. So I'm excited about it. It continues some really strong momentum. Not done yet. Still would like some more help in the center room and maybe a little more depth. But really, really strong job by the coaching staff, refilling and reloading the program, and a lot quicker than last year.
All right, got to take a break. We will be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Kule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network and streaming live on our YouTube channel right now and every single Monday. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching and liking and subscribing. We're that much closer, Paul, to 1,000 subscribers. What?
Every day we get just a tick closer. That's all we can ask for.
So go tell your friends, like and subscribe, please, and make sure you only like videos. Do not dislike. It's so weird how they still have dislike available on YouTube. I'm actually surprised. And why do people go out of their way to dislike certain videos? Anyways, now that I say that, someone watching will be like
more
purposely
likely
do
to
it.
get us dislike
Oh
now.
man. Anyways, but I wanted to go to something that we very much like. We talked about OIA Division 1 and 2 baseball championships in hour number 1. So I want to get into some softball conversations and make sure we give the ladies their flowers. We'll start off with Division 2 and Pearl City coming up on top over IAEA 10-2 to win the Division 2 OIA softball title. And it is their first since, get this everybody, 1979.
Dang, you were only 13 then.
What?
Kidding.
I ain't that much of auntie over here. So Pearl City, and that's when they went back-to-back in 78 and 79. So the Lady Chargers, again, 10-2 over IAEA. First OIA softball title since 1979. Again, congrats to them putting up their picture right now for our YouTube channel. A shout out to catcher Phoenix Lumabao, who was named our Fun Factory VIP of the game after going 2 for 2 with a solo home run as well in that game. She was awesome. She was very ecstatic after that win. There was a lot of tears. She was almost making me cry when I was watching her because she was just so happy and so proud of her team. She was also named the Spectrum Impact Player of the game as well. So kudos to her and the Chargers. Again, first OIA title since 1979. But Paul, maybe catch our listeners and viewers up with what they may have missed in that Division II OIA title game this year.
Really fun game. Really nice job by Pearl City to put it away. They jumped all over IAEA early on, put up those 5 runs. IAEA didn't give up, though. By no means did they back down. They put up, I believe it was 2 runs. 2 runs of their own in the third inning. And I kind of, at that point, I was like, all right, game on. Pearl City adds on one more, and then after that, it just felt like the pitching shut things down. A great game called by Phoenix Lumabao behind the dish, and the offense did exactly what it needed to do. This is a Pearl City squad that has 7 freshmen in the lineup, only 1 senior in Sonnet Oshiro. And it's also a program that has really struggled at the Division I level over the past 3 seasons, especially. I think it was 4 total victories over the past 3 years. And then they moved down to Division II this year, and just an incredible season. Completes the unbeaten run that they had. They take down a really strong IAEA team.
Defending OIA champs.
Yeah, a team who also deserves a ton of respect for what they did to get to that point. And like I said, they continued to fight back. They had a couple of times that they did put the scare in and have some sort of rally late against Pearl City, but similar to what we saw at times with Kapolei, Kapolei got out of jams quickly to make the score a little bit closer than you'd expect, giving away 15 free passes. IAEA did a nice job making it a little closer than you'd expect at times. You know, the 10-2 score doesn't exactly show off that side of things, but a really strong performance by Pearl City completes an unbeaten season, and a great job by them as they, like you said, a historic victory, snaps a 46-year drought. I'm very happy for Pearl City and excited to see both of these squads continue on in the state tournament.
Yep, and going over to Division I, and Mililani, back-to-back OIA titles now, looking to hopefully go back-to-back in states. But Mililani beating Moanalua 10-0 in 6 innings. Again, their 13th league title. Mililani pitcher Hinano Bautista threw 7 strikeouts in the shutout and named our Fun Factory VIP of the game, and was also named the Spectrum Impact Player of the game. But Mililani, we talked about how their baseball team is just at another level lately, and their softball team has always been at that level. They have been so competitive and just a rock solid squad. Again, head coach Rose Antonio, what she's done with that program has just been like next level and phenomenal, winning multiple OIA league titles under her reign, and then also going into the States, potentially being one of the favorites to win it all and them going back to back. But phenomenal, dominant performance again, being able to run rule Moanalua 10-zip. And honestly, it probably could have ended in the 5th, but they had, I think, they stranded like 1 or 2 runners on base where they could have brought him home and ended the game a little bit earlier, but then pushed it to that 6. So it was, again, just a phenomenal performance by this Mililani Trojan squad, and definitely a team that could be the early favorite in states.
They definitely should get some love in that front at the very least. A really strong performance by them. I don't want to toss Moanalua totally out. They were not the top seed, and they went through a gauntlet of a run to get to this championship game, and it just kind of seemed like they ran out of steam, where you can only have so many incredible performances day after day after day before finally the luck might run out a little bit, and that kind of felt like what it happened here. An incredible performance inside the pitching circle by Hinano Bautista. She did exactly what she needed to do, and Mililani, who you mentioned before, has a lot of experience here. They've played in not just this game, but even bigger championship games. That clearly showed through. They got to a freshman pitcher in Harper Fukuda early on, chased her after just 2/3 of an inning, and then Kara Miyoshi did a phenomenal job in relief coming in, trying to give a chance to Moanalua to get back in the game, but the bats just never really got going, and Mililani showed off that championship caliber medal, whatever you want to say it is. It's the Trojans really, really looked strong. They looked as though they will be one of the favorites in the state tournament. Moanalua, though, they do deserve so much respect for getting to this point. It's so tough when you play so many games in a row. Eventually you run out of steam, especially against a high-quality squad like Mililani.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to Mililani head coach Rose, because she does follow us on social media, and I see that she tends to like some of our stuff, even our Instagram stories. So shout out to Coach Rose for being an active follower and engaging with our social media platforms. Don't forget, you guys can follow us at High Sports Radio as well, and be sure to kind of like there and share and everything in between. Even Phoenix Lumabao, I saw that she even commented, thank you for the VIP stuff, and it's so phenomenal. So again, shout out to all of the OIA baseball and softball winners. And next week will be states. Again, Division I baseball state is on Maui, so that's something to keep in mind. But speaking of, something that I found out?
I don't.
And so I was talking to one of our friends that we go to UH games with a lot, but she's the mom of Bryson Toner, the pitcher for Kaiser. And I had no idea. Yeah.
Sorry.
Gee, that's another funny story. I had no idea that the teams had to pay their own way for the state tournament when it's on another island. I'm like, what? That doesn't really...
I mean, it checks out, but also it doesn't mean that I think it's right.
No, but everything. The only thing HHSA pays for is literally just the van to get you from one place to another. So airfare, hotel. I mean, we're talking sure, I'm sure the private school parents and stuff can afford it, but you're looking at a baseball team. So she was saying, it's about $700 or $800 per family, and if you have 2 kids on the team and you want them to go to states, you're looking at a couple grand. And I'm like,
yeah,
what? I just thought the HHSA at least paid for it. And well, the crazy thing is they don't even maybe block out hotel rooms to get a group discount, so that when the teams get figured out, this is the group discounted rate. It's literally everyone's on their own.
Why would you do that?
I don't understand. I'm like, why? So this was shocking. If you guys know anything about it, or you had to deal with it, and you were a team or a parent that had to, and this is only for the players. I understand if it's Little League World Series, where if you're the family, you have to find your own way there. That makes complete sense. But the actual players and maybe, you get allotted 2 coaches or whatever that the airfare and hotel get covered, right? Like at least something. But I'm like, man, that's interesting and something I never knew. And to me, I'm like, all right, why don't we hold all of it on Oahu? And I know the Maui and other islands are like, that's not fair. But the OIA has the most teams that are in the state tournament. So you're talking like at least they could cover, I don't know. It was a whole thing. And I was just flabbergasted. Like, this is my genuine shock when I was talking to her that she told me the only thing that's covered is just the transportation, like to and from the airport, basically. So food, snacks, again, air travel, hotel accommodations, and you have to pay like the full price. So even if you don't know that you're going to make states, you have to kind of figure it out last minute. You can't book way ahead of time to get your room to get a discount, or there isn't a handful of rooms to be blocked out. And I don't know. Am I the only one? Like, is that I don't know. Anyways, I'm genuinely shocked. I don't know, Paul, you don't seem as shocked, but I feel like as the state entity, I feel like you should, if you have a state tournament and the teams are playing in it, I feel like there should be more that is covered, or at least the hotels, you get a discount and there should be rooms blocked out. Like,
it is not that I disagree with you at all. It is just genuine. I'm not surprised that that type of stuff is either not taken care of or not thought about ahead of time. That is more what my reaction is built off of than like, because I don't disagree with you at all. It's insane.
Is that how it is in other states?
I wish I could tell you. I didn't ever make it to the state tournament. My teams weren't ever good enough.
See, the only time, like for soccer, it's held here, so we never had to travel on another island.
I was going to say, also to be fair, I think you guys might be the only one. You guys, me lived in Hawaii multiple years.
Continent people just have to get a bus.
I was going to say, I would just drive down, like the hotel part of it all. But the airfare, that's the part where I'm like, like, is it crazy? Yes, but also like a lot of things are crazy, and unfortunately, a lot of things are the way that they are.
I just figured like you would have had a partnership with like Southwest or Hawaiian Airlines for once, and you get discounted rates. And that's the thing. Like, all right, no business is going to want to like completely cover. And I know the HHSA is a small group, so they don't have a ton of money. But just in my mind, when she even said like, oh, no, nothing's discounted, it's all full price. I'm like, what? Everything. How is it not even... Anyways, I'm sure. I'm like, my whole thing is to ask the powers that be, like, what's the situation with that and why there is no discounted rate and all that stuff. Anyways, before we wrap up though today, want to make sure we mention the women's water polo team for UH also winning the Big West Conference tournament. So congratulations, and beating Long Beach State. So we got your number, beating Long Beach State 8-6.
To see us coming.
I know, to go back to back Big West Conference tournament champions. Again, the first championship, though, under new head coach James Robinson. Seeing a lot of these seniors off in the Rainbow Wahine will make the program's 8th appearance in the NCAA tournament, which is set for May 9th through 11th in Indianapolis. The 9-team bracket will be actually revealed today, this afternoon, at 2 o'clock p.m. Hawaii time on NCAA.com. So we'll see what happens with that and where they end up. Probably, if the stars align, get matched up with UCLA once again, either for the championship match or semifinals, and kind of that who will win the third match, because we know Hawaii upset them in the beginning of the regular season. UCLA got them back. I mean, it would just work out, right? Where UCLA and Hawaii would be in the national championship game. But yeah, it'll be a fun one to look out for. Shoot, I don't think we have enough time to play the audio.
You could if you want. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Yeah, no, I'm excited for them. I was really, really pumped when they were finishing it on out. That was right when I was going over to the Ed Wong hospitality room to watch the watch party with the men's volleyball team yesterday. So I'm going to make the joke on social media later that you guys can all see that this room can't get rid of me. No, I don't know if they're going to have it in there or whatnot, but in general, very excited for them. They deserve it. A team who has worked exceptionally hard, a team that has really fun group of characters, a cast of characters that you can also learn about on HawaiiSportsRadio.com. Bernie Doyle and Jordan Wedderburn, some of those other players we have features on, and hopefully they, year number 1 and James Robinson's gone pretty well. I hope it keeps on going.
This is when I wish we could have kind of like I wish our YouTube app thing that we used to stream live could have video, because I don't know if you saw on social media when they kind of like video bombed Coach Robinson. And when you bring up, they have a bunch of characters, and I think it was Jordan Wedderburn that was the first one to. So Coach Robinson
she
was
might be the funniest player
she's awesome.
I've met in a hot minute.
So Jordan was Coach Robinson was like getting set up for, I think, his like ESPN Plus interview, and then had the microphone in hand and everything. Jordan comes like from behind and goes in between like Coach Robinson and the camera, is like, and like this high, and then you have a few other teammates that follow, and I forget who was holding the trophy, but they're like parading the trophy in front of the camera in front of Coach Robinson, and it made me chuckle so much. And that was something that I wish, again, on our YouTube, we can only share still images with the capabilities that we have, but we'll probably share it. I'll try to share it on our Instagram or whatnot, but it was awesome. Wish them all the best. And again, like Paul said, you can go to hawaiisportsradio.com. We actually have a Manawahine tab that you could easily find some of the featured stories that we've done on there, including Jordan Wedderburn. But I am just about out of breath and energy after recapping this weekend, and I feel like we kind of cut some things short, but for now we gotta go. So for Paul Brecht, I'm Ku'ule Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye!
Your brand new